let's go right ahead and talk about Jalen Brunson taking his huge pay cut. Now, we know that LeBron, he took a pay cut, right? But it was a tiny pay cut. It was like, a $3 million difference, right? Jalen Brunson decided to be like, all right, you know what? This is how you take a pay cut. And decided to sign a contract for 4 years that is worth $157 million. Now, the reason why this was such a huge pay cut is because he was eligible to sign a 5 year, $269 million contract, which, again, that's almost $100 million more than what he could have been making, right? Like, this is a huge, huge pay cut. Or, according to Woj, it's 113 million less guaranteed than he's eligible to receive in the previous contract that I mentioned, where he could have signed for 5 years and $269 million. So the repercussion of Brunson choosing the 4 year instead of the max deal, which was going to have him there for 5 years, is that the Knicks, they now have the ability to keep the core roster intact, right? They have the ability to keep their team. So when I previously thought that Randall, I didn't think he was going to be on the team after this season, mainly because like OG signed a huge amount of money, and I could only have imagined just how much money Jalen Brunson was willing to sign. But this pay cut now sort of changes that perspective. So the rest of the team that had the Villanova boys with Jalen Brunson, Bridges, and DiVincenzo and Josh Hart, along with Julius Randle and the rest of the other players that came off the bench, now they sort of get to remain intact for this upcoming season, while also still giving the Knicks some sort of flexibility to be able to improve their roster and try and get some other kind of free agents, or maybe even work on some trades. Then again, don't really know how they're going to work on some trades without having draft capital, because they used all of that draft capital for getting Mikal Bridges. But aside from that, this is a huge win for the New York Knicks. This is great for the team. The only person that's really taking a huge hit is Jalen Brunson, and the fact that he's not going to be making $100 million more than what he could. But, I mean, in my opinion, Jalen should never have to pay any taxes in New York. He should never have to pay for a meal. He should never have to pay for housing. He shouldn't have to pay for anything. Like, none whatsoever. He shouldn't pay for anything in New York. Now, the deal will cost Brunson $37.1 million over the next 3 years, and it comes with a 4th-year player option, and that would set up Brunson to recoup the rest of the $113 million on a 4-year, $323 million extension in 2028, or a new 5-year, $418 million deal in 2029. Now, I'm sure you guys are wondering, whoa, where in the world is all of this money coming from? Well, it's with the new NBA deal that I mentioned on a previous podcast before. Now, this deal is supposed to increase the salary cap tremendously for a lot of teams. And teams that have the money to spend like that, they're most likely going to spend it on their key players. So contracts that we've seen over this free agency, like Franz Wagner's contract that I mentioned before, they're probably going to be obsolete compared to the other contracts that are going to be signed by these big-time players, because they're expecting the salary cap to increase tremendously with this deal. Now, more tweets coming in from Woj. The repercussions of Brunson choosing the 4-year deal over the 5-year is just the ability to keep making roster moves to close the gap on a championship, and the cap savings that the Knicks. So if Brunson waited until 2025 to sign his extension, he would have made $46 million in 2025, $50 million 2026, $53 million 2027, $57 million 2028, and $61 million in 2029, which would have been a total of $269 million, on his contract, right? Now, the extension that he signed which was totaling up to $156 million, he'll be making $34 million in 2025, $37 million in 2026, $40 million in 2027, and $43 million in 2028 with a player option. Now, obviously, at least, in my opinion, I don't think he's going to be losing that much sleep by not making as much money as he could be making, because I mean 34 million, that's still a lot of money over a year. Like, again, I'm just talking from the perspective of, being a regular college kid, and obviously the perspective of being an NBA player that has all this talent is going to be incredibly different. But aside from that, I don't really think he's going to be losing much sleep. So the Knicks would essentially be saving on $11.45 million in 2025. They would be saving $12.3 million in 2026 and $13.2 million in 2027, 2028, which in total would mean that they will be saving $37 million in this new contract that he decided to sign, right? So Brunson will have 10 YOS, whatever the world that means, and he's eligible to sign a 4-year, $323 million extension in 2027, which, again, might I remind you, is way more than what Jalen Brown was making when Jalen Brown's big contract was like the biggest contract in the history of the NBA. Like, all of these biggest contracts in the history of the NBA, they're all going to change over the years with this new TV deal. Like, I'm so certain that that's what's going to happen. So he's like, this is just a huge win for the New York Knicks. Like, when it seemed like they weren't going to be able to get more talent based off of OG's, huge contract. But aside from that, I mean, this is just great for New York. Now, in my opinion, I think it should have been the other way around. I think that OG should have been making the amount of money that Jalen's making right now, and Jalen should be making the amount of money that OG's making right now. But whatever it takes to keep the team together, whatever it takes for them to win, I'm pretty sure that Brunson is all for it. And on top of that, it's not like he's not going to be making money from other type of, sponsorship deals that New York is going to be loaded with, and all of the other sponsorship deals that he already has. Like, I mean, he's just going to gain more and more. So it's not like he's going to be losing sleep. And on top of that, like, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, well, he's going to have a difficult time paying for all of these other things in New York because things are getting more expensive. But the way I see it, he has his 4 college, or 3 of, I guess you could say, yeah, he has his 3 college friends over on the exact same roster, right? And really, like, if there's something that needs to be covered, I'm pretty sure those guys got him. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if those guys, they went through thick and thin. They've been in the same college together, and it's like, there's no better feeling than actually doing what you like with people that you like. So obviously that's a sacrifice that he was willing to take in order to keep the roster together. And I would be very surprised if the rest of his teammates that have been teammates since college would be like, if Jalen Brunson, let's say Jalen Brunson, he needs a hand in money, which is very rare for an NBA player to need a hand in money. I'm sure his former college friends, Mikal Bridges, DiVincenzo, or Josh Hart, I'm sure they'd all be like, yeah, we got you, this, that, and the other. Even though they're not going to be making as much as him, they got him. They're college friends. Like, that's just what you do. That's what friends are for. And like, it's really like, now the biggest challenge is if this pay cut was for nothing. Like, now they got to win. So, as the Lakers would say, it's winning time. But with that out of the way, like, that will be it for the first segment. And so we will go ahead and go into the second segment, where I'm going to be talking about Team USA and, the matchup that's going to be happening tonight, or tomorrow, I guess you could say. It's a little weird, but we're going to talk about that. They're going to play in, actually, you know what, I'll explain all of that in the second segment. So it'll be right after this short break, but be sure to stay tuned.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh,
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in